Hey guys, what's up? It is time to look at the ARC. I keep saying it wrong, and if I say it wrong again, I'm sorry. ARIC, the ARIC, this guy right here, hopefully it focused on that. The AR internal carrier by Law Tactical. Let's look at it. Alright, I can already tell by the start of this video, it is a little crispy outside. It is not near as cold as it was last week. I still have ear pro on because these are over ear and they keep my little ears warm. So, hate if you want, but these keep my ears warm. Also, if I fumble with my words a little bit, it is a little bit chilly, so please forgive me for that. But this is the ARIC, the ARIC, the AR internal carrier from Law Tactical. Now, let's go ahead, let's just talk about some things real quick. Before we shoot this, the whole point of today, the whole point of what we're doing, not so much a review, hardcore look at the ARIC, but we're going to shoot it on 300 blackout, a short 6-inch and then a 9-inch, maybe 6.5 inch, I can't remember, but a 6-inch and a 9-inch, 300 blackout, supers and subs, and then we also have a 10.5 inch, a 16-inch pin, so it's like a 14.5 or whatever, and then a 20-inch, so like an AR or an M16 looking, you know, a full size upper, those in 5.56, okay? We're going to look at those, and we're going to see what cycles, what doesn't cycle. But before we do, I do want to hit a couple things, because we've gotten a lot of questions. I want to try to answer the best as I can to kind of clear the waters on this whole thing, okay? This system is made and intended to be used only with the use of the Law Tactical folder, okay? So automatically that's going to make a lot of people not want to get this, because this is already not a cheap accessory for your firearm. So it appears to me, and this is just pure assumption and just what I'm seeing, this is not necessarily marketed just for everybody. Just go out and get this and convert your guns into a, you know, a bufferless recoil system. No, it's made for the people who have a Law folder, right? Who need their firearm to fire and fully function with the stock brace, whatever receiver extension device you have on here, folded. That is what it is made for. And to clear the waters even more, I still have a buffer and a spring in here. I'm going to pop those things out because it is completely unnecessary. It's completely unneeded. This right here, the spring and the buffer, when you use the ARIC, you don't need it. So that's going away. So if you can see in here, that is an empty tube, nothing in there. I've gotten so many questions like, well, does it, like, what happens if you take the buffer out and this? Okay, yeah, the buffer's out. There's nothing in here because this system is intended and designed to not need any buffer or spring in here, because the spring, as you can see, is on the bolt carrier group assembly piece itself. It's got 2 springs. That's what it uses. It doesn't use that other spring, okay? Hopefully that clears some questions, because I got multiple questions on that in the last video I made about this, and hopefully that clears some stuff up. So, another thing, there's 2 kind of carriers. There's one that is called the M for Mike, one that is the C for Charlie. I got the M, I believe. Yes, I got the M. I hope I get this straight, because I can't fact check it right now because I don't have any cell reception. My understanding, unless I get these backwards, and I'll annotate if I got them backwards, the M is for supers, or let me back up. The M is for suppressed primarily shooting. I didn't say that right, but primarily suppressed shooting. That's what the M is for, right? The C is primarily for unsuppressed shooting, primarily, right? I'm assuming that has something to do with the weight or the power of the springs, right? If they're heavier springs or lighter springs. That's my understanding of it. There is no adjustability as far as the bolt carrier group and like tuning gases or anything like that. They do suggest that you have an adjustable gas block on whatever system you're running, right? I only have that on one of my systems, and we'll play around with it if we can. But we're going to get right into this. We're going to get right into shooting. We're going to get right into this because my battery's already starting to dip, and I don't want to run out of battery like I did last time. So let's go ahead and do 300 blackout. Okay, so for shooting the 300 blackout, we have 3 supers and 3 subs. We're hopefully at cycles. Not exactly sure. This can be a very finicky upper, but this is a 6-inch barrel Sandman S with a 30 caliber end cap, all right? Just watching to seeing how this thing cycles. That's all we're doing, all right? 3 supers, 3 subs. Nope. So not enough gas to cycle with subs. All right. Not enough to cycle with subs, all right? All right, so we moved on to the 10.5-inch system. I know I'm not using sights. We're not talking about accuracy. This is a work in progress. This thing gets stuff put on and off all the time. Don't pay any attention to that. 10.5 inches with a dead air Sierra 5, right? 223 Wolf. Here's already a problem. I've noticed this last time. I noticed this time as well. There is no forward assist cutouts on the bolt carrier group. And many times, see that? It failed to go fully into battery. See that right there? That's just from straight up racking the round. So you can sometimes just push forward like I just did, pop that bolt carrier group all the way forward and lock everything up. If you can't, you gotta take out the magazine, kind of halfway pull the charging handle back and let it go, and then it seems to work fine. I have noticed that this time and last time. All right, we'll do 5 rounds, make sure everything cycles fine. 10.5 inches, 223. I might have said 5.56, but 10.5 inches, 223. Here we go. All right. All right, now I don't know about you guys, but me hearing this, and I've got Ear Pro on, this sounds very good. And to be really, really honest, this is a very smooth shooting gun. It just seems to work. And just to show the people that this thing works without a buffer tube, there's no gimmick, there's no tricks. Fold this guy in half, and I'll show you. This is what we're talking about. See if it actually loads this time. Ah, that time it actually loaded right. All right, folded. Here we go. It works. This portion of the firearm does nothing as far as cycling. All right, with the ARIC. All right, this is the 16-inch pinned. We again have the Sierra 5 on front. 5 rounds. Here we go. All right, and again, we'll just do 3 rounds folded. Gotta put it on fire. Here we go. I'm right at the right angle, keep slapping my camera. Works, functions just fine. Now, with this system, I have it tuned. It's probably not gonna cycle unsuppressed because I have this guy tuned. So here we go, here's to see if it cycles. No, not gonna cycle, which I didn't think it would. That's because this has an adjustable gas block in it, and it is set to run this weak stuff suppressed pretty much only. So that's why it's not running into the system. I could tune it, make it run, but I'm not doing that right now because I'm not gonna fudge with that. Let's throw this on the 20-inch. All right, here's the 20-inch. Chambered in there just fine. Let's go for it. We'll do 5 rounds, we'll put the suppressor on it, see if it works. All right, so something didn't work. Safety's not going on. Mag out. Failed to eject or extract. Failed to extract. Let's try it again. Maybe we better load it this time. Try it again. All right, it is failing to. This time it failed to eject. All right, so before we clear that, I'm gonna go ahead and put on a suppressor and see if that extra back pressure will fix that problem. All right, so we're suppressed. All right, let's try it now. Suppressed, 20 inches. Yeah, so it seems to cycle fine. Actually, brass is ejecting right where it needs to go. Here this way, safety. There you go. I don't know why you would shoot like that, but I'm just demonstrating it for you. All right, guys, so there you go. That was a little demonstration of how this guy works and doesn't work and what it's for, right? It can fire folded. That's what it's made for. This little piece of this system is not necessary for the proper function of the overall system. Hope that makes sense. We're going to jump back to the house real quick. We're going to talk about this where it's not freezing cold and I don't have to worry about battery life. Kind of give you my wrap-up thoughts on the ARIC, what maybe its intended design used for, those just my personal preferences on it after having it out only a couple little times. But we'll talk about it real quick there, and we'll wrap everything up over there. All right, we are back here at the shop. All right, so here we go. The ARIC, dab, nagget. I'm going to say it wrong every single time, so I'm sorry. ARIC, AR internal carrier from Law Tactical. All right, so we got back from shooting this guy. I went ahead and cleaned everything up because we were shooting out there today. It was cold, not super, super cold, but it was cold enough that everything was gumming up. So we were using lithium grease. I think this stuff had maybe some grease in it from the factory anyway. We were shooting lube in it and everything, keeping it nice and oiled and try to keep things fluid, right? Because as the temperatures go down, the oil and the grease and things, their viscosity, whatever, kind of goes down and that stuff gets pretty gummy, right? But you can't shoot it dry because it's just going to freeze up as well. So it was very, very, very dirty. All right, so let's talk about the system real quick. Let's talk about some, not so much pros and cons, but what is this? Like, what is this? Basically, this is your carrier, right? Your bolt carrier. If I say BCG, if you hear people throw that term around, that is bolt carrier group. This is the bolt, the thing on the end of the whole system. This is the carrier. Now, what Law Tactical has done is they've taken the carrier, they've chopped it off about halfway back, and then they added a whole bunch of system into it, all right? So this system does not require an additional buffer system, right? Traditionally, an AR-15 has a buffer tube on the end, right? This piece right here, right? There's a tube in here. And traditionally, you see this silver thing on the inside in here. This is a buffer. This is a weight. And there's a spring back in here. And traditionally, you have a much longer piece than this carrier, right? It's about twice this long. You have a bolt carrier. Actually, it looks kind of like this. Looks like this. You have a piece that looks like this. And that system rides in this track, right? That's why this is a tube. That's why it's empty. That's why there's a spring. That's why there's a buffer. That bolt carrier group slides back in here when the gun fires. That's what makes it cycle. That's what makes it work, right? So with this system, right, it replaces basically this buffer tube whole thing, right? You still have to use this locking piece, this hinging piece. This is called the Law Tactical folder. This is one of their biggest things that Law Tactical makes. As far as I know, that's what I only knew them as, or knew them for. But they make this folding system. It's very robust, works very well, and you have to have this system for their internal carrier to work, all right? Make sure I spell that out very plainly because I'm sure there's going to be people that ask, well, does it have to use a system? Can I just throw on? No, you have to use their system, all right? That's what they say, that's what makes sense, and that's kind of how this thing works, all right? So talking about the system itself, like I said, this is their proprietary carrier, right, that they have chopped off. This does not look like they just took an AR-15 bolt carrier group and just chopped it off and did stuff to it. This is completely redesigned, it looks like. You got tracks that run along the sides, and those are for these two pieces. These two thin little wire looking guys, they ride in there somewhere in here like this. All right, your spring goes over that piece right there, and you have two of them, right? One on each side, and those compress down, and they're held in by this little piece right here. This little piece right here, hold it up, maybe you can see it. I'm gonna try not to drop it on the floor. This little hoochie pucker right here. This guy clips in basically to the ends of these two little rods, right? And with the tension from the springs, because the springs are going to be pushing on it, like so. Now I got to edit that. Like so, right? The springs are pushing on it like so, and that holds everything in. Now, here's a little problem, and I ran into this while I was out there shooting. When you take this bolt carrier group assembly, whatever you want to call it, out, this piece, this piece is under tension, right? That little piece I showed you, the springs are pushing on it up. And if you happen to push up and unlock this little piece, then that spring can come flying off and go somewhere. And that could be really bad if you got deep snow or gravel and stuff and things you may not find pieces. That's kind of scary. yeah, I wish everything locked down to where it would not come out, but you got to be careful. This is something you got to be very careful. But basically, that's kind of your recoil system, is those two rods, right? And then your two springs. You also have on the back, this is what kind of encapsulates everything. It doesn't lock inside, but it encapsulates everything, and this rides back in the folder, right? It basically rides back in here, because it needs a little bit of extra room for everything to work properly, right? So this guy basically folds back in here, and it locks up in there, right? He's totally locked up in there. You're not, I heard some people mention it in comments and stuff like that. This thing is designed to fully cycle, fully work with the Law Tactical folded, right? This piece right here is not gonna come blowing back in your face. This is made to fire and fire and fire and fire. It works just as well like this as it does like this, okay? I hope that makes sense. I really, really hope that makes sense. All right, those are the proprietary pieces, as far as I can tell. The bolt itself is non-proprietary. They have this guy, I don't even see markings on it. I'm not sure who makes it. I don't know anything about it. They don't even say it's not HPI stamped or anything. This just looks like a mil-spec bolt carrier group, all right? The extractor's nice because they do have your extra little donut. Oops, I'm gonna drop it on the ground. Told you I don't like taking these things apart on here. There's a little rubber donut thingy, right? That goes around the spring, right? That holds tension on the extractor. And on the inside of the extractor, there's also a little rubber post thing. So this is like triple redundancy as far as your extractor. Your extractor should definitely work, right? This thing just needs the spring. And some companies have the donut, and then you're like, okay, really good. And some companies have the donut and the little rubber post on the inside. So even if that spring somehow gave out, you've got that rubber, you know, providing tension, and you really should not have a failure of the extractor, right? Unless it actually breaks, right? Like the metal breaks. So that's cool. Also, your cam pin, it looks a little bit different. Like they rounded some of the angles off. It might be completely standard. It might not be. I'm not exactly sure. Looks a little bit different. It's a little bit smaller. They rounded some edges. And then last but not least, the gas key, this piece right here on top, this is not standard. This is not mil-spec. This is different. It's got two offset screws on top that hold everything in, and then it also has some grooves that run along the side here. I'm not even exactly sure what those grooves are for, because a standard AR-15 does not have those. And I don't know what rides in there. I'm not sure exactly what they got going on. I mean, this is how the charging handle sits in there. And, well, it's not riding in anything. I'm not exactly sure what that's there for. All right, so that's kind of a look at the pieces and parts that come with this, what's mil-spec, what's not. Oh, and the firing pin. Sorry, firing pin. Firing pin is mil-spec, looks completely mil-spec, standard, no frills about it. All right, so that's a kind of a look at what's mil-spec, what's not mil-spec about this guy. I'm going to put it all back together. YouTube doesn't like showing that stuff necessarily, so I'm just going to throw it back together real quick, put it in the system, kind of give my overall first-time shooting impressions of it, all right? All right, one more thing before I put everything together. This is the system, like I said. That's that weird piece that can fall out. That is encapsulated in this little plug on the back. See, it has this little piece on top. That goes facing up. It's almost, imagine like it's a finger pointing up. And this all goes in here like so. Kind of sits in there, so it kind of is encapsulated. When the system is put together, it's not gonna just fall apart. It's not gonna just fall apart. And if it's like this is not just gonna fall apart, right? When these are separated, that's when this piece can come out, and that's when you gotta be really careful, right? But this is how it looks like when it's all pretty much put together how it's supposed to be put together, all right? And basically to install this thing, you just plug it in like a standard bolt carrier group. All right, and what I found the only difference being is that you basically have to compress with your thumb. Don't let it loose and let it fly across the room. You compress this spring with your thumb, right? You put it down like so, and if the Law Tactical is closed, right? The system right here is locked closed, then when you push down, you'll hear it click, and then you just gotta close your pins, and then your system will be all put together. Guys, so what are my thoughts on shooting this thing for the first time? So this is was it the first or second time? I think it was the second time. I think it's the second time I went out and shot this thing. My impressions are I'm very happy with it, right? The major con, I will say, of this system, the ARIC, not ARC, the ARIC, is you have to use the Law folder. If you don't already have a Law folder, this folding piece, if you don't already have this, then you really better look at why you need a system that folds up and can fire completely normal folded up. If you don't need that system, then this is a big upgrade to do, right? Because this is a big chunk of change for this ARIC. It's a big chunk of change for the Law folder. If you don't need your systems to fold and stuff like this and to fire folded, I don't know why you're getting this thing. It is cool, and if that's why, all the power to you. That's cool. That's cool. All right. That's the major con, though. It's like an in-depth system. It's a system within a system, right? So it's like layered, where you gotta be in the club, and then you gotta be in the exclusive club to get the things. You see what I'm saying? It's not just a simple plug and play on like every system, right? A plus, starting to talk about good things, because I do like this. The good thing is for the upper, you don't have to do anything special to the upper. This will plug into any upper that you got as far as it's 556, 223, or 300 blackout, right? Since this does appear to use a mil-spec bolt, the bolt itself, I would think that you would be able to utilize like a 762x39 bolt, 224 Valkyrie bolt. What else uses that bolt? I think maybe you can even get 545x39, I think. I'm not sure. But different bolts that fit into a standard bolt carrier group, right? They're the carrier. I think those will work with here. Don't quote me on that. You need to look that information up and contact Law Tactical yourself to figure out if that system would actually work. But in theory, it should. It should, because it's a mil-spec bolt. So you should be able to interchange calibers where you usually would be able to interchange calibers. Hope that makes sense. I do have to say, this is a very smooth system. I'm very, very, very pleasantly surprised, especially in this configuration. This is a 10.5-inch AR. And when you suppress it, right? You suppress it with this system, it floats, dude. It shoots very smooth. And I was wearing Ear Pro today, but I mean, you can tell it is quiet. It works well, and that's kudos to the suppressor and everything. I don't know how much this system makes it quieter or not, but it ran very well. I was very happy, and in all the configurations that it was running in, I was very, very happy with it. 300 blackout can always be a little bit finicky. It really can be. And sometimes, depending on, like, I have one upper that is, I think it was the tan one, right? The longer tan one, the regular 223, the 16-inch pin, that has an adjustable gas block in it, and it's tuned a little bit different. And I wasn't going to take the time to tune everything one way or the other, so suppressed, this guy ran well. I remember last time I took this out, it did not like running unsuppressed with the ARIC, right? It didn't, on the larger, the 16-inch system, it didn't really like that. I'm not sure why, really have no idea. Suppressed, it's the way to go. Well, I know why it didn't like that system, because it's tuned with the adjustable gas block to run suppressed weak ammo. So you take the suppressor off, it's like a booster on the end of your barrel. You take that booster suppressor off, it needs more power to run the system because I have it tuned. That's why. So yeah, I'm not giving the ARIC a bad name. It did what it was supposed to do. I just needed to adjust the gas block, which I didn't do. So anyway, that's kind of a first impressions of shooting this guy. Very smooth. He works very well. You just need to be careful when you go change the system out, right? You take off this upper, you put another upper on, do your whole swippy-swappy kind of thing. Be careful of that little locking piece on the back that holds those springs in. If that piece comes off and you're not paying attention, you just grab the system and pull it out, and if that piece comes off and your springs go popping out, I hope you don't have snow on the ground, and I hope you don't have high grass and gravel and everything else. I hope it just bounces and hits you and like falls on the table or bounces in the back of your truck. Be very careful is what I'm trying to say. Be very careful. All right, so that is it. I'm going to shut up. If you got any questions about the ARIC, the AR internal carrier from Law Tactical, please let me know. Hopefully I will be able to continue shooting this thing and testing it and just over time see how well it works. It didn't work 100%, and I'm not upset with that. If it did, that would have been just crazy amazing. But this is a brand new system, right, from Law Tactical. This is new to them. This is also a brand new system to me, right? Like, this is a new piece of equipment, right? And new pieces of equipment generally need to be broken in, right? And new designs generally have upgrades along the way. Like, they shoot it and people use it and stuff happens. They're like, oh, we need to tweak this and tweak that. Okay, well, as far as I know, this is the first iteration of this. So There could be problems and hiccups along the way. I'm still happy with how it ran. Generally, any problem that I had a magazine that was bad. I know it was a magazine that was bad because everything was just feeding crazy. Changed out that magazine, everything was great as far as that goes. And then the adjustable gas block, that's on me because I didn't adjust it. But other than that, I mean, this thing ran very well, very well. I'm very, very happy with it. So anyway, guys, again, if you got questions, let me know. If any of you guys have gotten one of these, what are you running it with? Like, what do you like it for? Wow, that's just a messed up question. Why did you get it, is what I'm trying to say. Did you have a specific niche that you needed your system to fold and fire folded? Or is it just that it's dang cool? Because sometimes you buy stuff because it's dang cool, and that's cool. That's dang cool. There ain't nothing wrong with that, right? Right, it's cool. But let me know. I'd love to hear back from you guys. Why you bought it? What you intended to be used for? Are you happy with it? Are you disappointed in it? What worked? What didn't work? If you could talk to yourself before you bought it, what would you want to ask? What would you want to know, right? And if you're looking into getting one of these things, what do you guys want to know that I didn't hit on here, right? What do you want to know? And hopefully I can answer that in a later on video about the system. All right, that's it. You guys be good, be safe. Appreciate you guys watching, subscribing, and everything. And hopefully catch you guys in the next video. See ya. And I don't know what that was. Wow. Speaking in tongues over here. Sorry.